Good evening, Mashbee Planning Board, Wednesday, October 20th, 2021. Wacoit Meeting Room, Mashbee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, Mashbee, Massachusetts, 02649. It is 7 o'clock. We're broadcast live on local channel 18, streamed live on the Town of Mashbee website, www.mashbee.gov/channel-18. I'd ask you all to please stand to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First on the agenda, approval of the minutes from our meeting on October 6th. Everyone's got a copy of those. Any changes, edits?
Well, I just had noticed one thing, and Chrissy had, after your last meeting, sent me the motions that were made relative to the zoning articles that were considered at town meeting. And she had recorded a vote from Joe Callahan, who's not present this evening. I circled it, so just let me get it.
Page 8.
Page 8, yes. If you recall, there was a moment where there were competing motions made and roll call votes taken.
Yes.
And at one point, Joe said during the vote, I'd like to take no action, to which we responded, Joe, the motion is to approve or not approve,
Right.
not to take no action. And so I recorded it as him having corrected his vote. I did watch the video. I think the video is a little inconclusive, but I do believe Joe's intent was to vote yes on the warrant article noted on page 8, where it says Mr. Callen voted default to take no action.
Mm-hmm.
I remember them being split votes.
I feel like the record should reflect his intent. I do recognize, though, that the video is a little ambiguous, but I recall in the moment Joe's vote being a yes vote and not a no action vote.
I agree. I remember him saying no action, and I think you corrected him.
So it would be my suggestion that the record reflect the intent of his vote and have it read as Joe Callahan voting yes on that article as opposed to default/take no action.
Yeah, and the motion before, in the section before, we did make a motion to not recommend, but then we actually took a formal motion to recommend.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So I would add the whole motion. Do you know what I'm saying?
I added 2.
So
One was never rescinded.
it was never rescinded, we took another whole vote.
This is it here, Mary, right? To not recommend,
Yeah,
and then also to recommend.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
they're
see.
both there.
So you can see Mr. Callahan's vote was no on the
Yeah.
motion made in the negative, but a no action on the motion made in the affirmative, which I believe was just due to a confusion, which we clarified for him.
Agreed.
So I believe that his vote should be recorded in the official record as being a yes.
So your note is just saying, down below, there's another vote. Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I did not note any other issues with the minutes.
Can I make a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Abstain.
Okay. Public discussion. Do we have anyone?
Sorry, John.
Thank you, Evan.
It was empty tonight. I don't want to give everyone a last chance.
It is empty. Anyone? Going once? It's too warm. Okay, new business. Evan, we have a request by Longfellow Build Design to withdraw without prejudice its special permit application for a retail grocery store at 647 Falmouth Road, 9 Shellback Way.
Yes. So we did receive a request from the developer interested in building a retail grocery that the board had previously referred to the commission as a mandatory referral as a development of regional impact. This isn't a withdrawal that we will see them back. The reason for the request is that the applicant, at the request of the commission, for all DRIs and other permits issued by the commission submitted a scoping memorandum relative to their traffic study that the commission felt was inadequate and that the applicant needed to address prior to submitting their application. So when we made the referral, a statutory timeline commences, whereas the applicant needs to submit their completed application for the DRI within a certain window of time, which they are unable to do as a result of those issues with the traffic scoping memorandum. So as such, they're facing a regulatory denial without prejudice. And as a result of that, they'll be denied without prejudice from the commission as a result of that issue. And so they're seeking the withdrawal from this board so that they're able to refile, and I do expect the filing this week or next. For any folks who are here who are abutting that property, which is 9 Shellback Way / 647 Falmouth Road, if the board does accept the withdrawal, you do need to accept the withdrawal. I will be noticing all the abutters of the withdrawal and notifying them that they will be getting more mail from me. It's not a requirement, but I think they'll be confused. So I'm going to make sure that they're notified of why it was withdrawn and what they can expect to see from my office in the future. But that's essentially the background, and again, we'll have to go through the entire process again. It'll be back on the agenda for a public hearing. You'll have to make the referral to the commission again, assuming they do refile. We'll need to notice abutters and advertise in the newspaper, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
So that's the background. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
You answered my question.
Yes. I make a motion that we allow the applicant to withdraw without prejudice their application.
Second.
Any discussion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Okay. Oh, you know what? Before we take the vote to set public hearing, I've noticed that all of the, most of the committee and board meetings start at 6 or 6:30. I'd like to suggest we start this meeting at 6:30. They tend to run long, although tonight we probably won't. But I think 6:30 is more consistent with the other boards and committees in town. When Joe called to tell me he wasn't going to be here, I talked with him. He's fine with 6:30.
I don't like 6:30.
Well, I'm fine with 6:30, but I think it's nice to get out of
You
here a
good?
little earlier.
What do you say, Dennis?
What'd you say?
Do you want to start at 6:30 or 7?
7, I like 7.
Yeah, I like 7.
Let's try 6:30, because that's the majority, if you look at the calendar, the majority of meetings are actually at 6.
Matter, I can't get here before then. I need to be here by 7.
Well, you've been here
I can be
at
here by
6.
7.
We've had 6:30
Yeah,
meetings
and that was
before.
really excruciatingly painful for me. So please keep it at 7.
I like 7.
7.
I'd like to try 6:30.
Well, we've been here forever at 7.
I know.
You don't listen to any of us.
Oh, I did. I've got 3 that say 6:30 is
You haven't made
okay.
up your mind.
We got 3 that
Even
said,
people without us knowing, you do all sorts of,
3 that said 6:30 was fine.
you
Well-
write letters to people without talking to us. I mean, it's really embarrassing, John, to be on this board with you.
Are we doing 7 or 6:30?
Let's do it 7.
6:30.
Well, no, listen,
Dennis and I won't show till 7 then. We've been here for years at 7.
The majority of the other boards
I
and
don't
committees
care.
go
I'm
from
not on
6
the
to
majority of the
6:30.
other boards.
I think we should be consistent.
It has nothing to do with the other boards. It has to do with people who
Well, it
work that need to have it start at 7.
The other boards and committees have figured
It
out how to
doesn't,
get here
it
at
doesn't
6 or
matter to me what
6:30.
the other boards do.
if I could interject here too. I like the 6:30 because it gets out earlier, but I want a board that's functioning. And if I have 2 members that can't make it here till 7, it's going to cause problems and cause function issues. So in that respect, I would just assume keep it at 7 and get all 5 of us here and talk about it a little bit more down the road, rather than just throwing it out there right here. So I'd be okay with keeping it at 7, but let's keep it open for discussion later if we could.
So you can't make it at 6:30?
No, I could, but I like 7, I mean.
But you could make it at 6:30.
It doesn't matter. He told you what he said.
I'm sorry,
Stop arguing with him.
I'm not arguing, I'm asking a
Here
question.
you are.
No, I'm not.
Here you are.
No, I like 7.
I
That's all we've been doing ever since I've been on the board.
That's fine.
7?
7. Okay, next item, vote to set public hearing date for an application made by Southworth Mashbee Properties LLC to modify its special permit and amend a definitive subdivision.
I put in your packets 2 public hearing notices. One to amend the Willow Bend special permit, the other to amend the applicable definitive subdivision plan. You need to amend both accordingly pursuant to their request. So that's why you have 2. I think I suggested one begin at 7:10, the other at 7:15.
Do we need to do one before the other? Is there any?
Mary actually might know this process better than me, but in the past, when we've done this, one public hearing opens, and then you roll the other proceeding into the open public hearing. Is that right, Mary?
At the second time.
At the second time.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you'll need to set both, I'll need to advertise both, and both will need to be noted on the agenda, but we can handle them at one on the night of the proceeding.
But whichever one goes first doesn't matter. The
Yeah.
chronological, it's not a chronological.
Yeah,
issue.
the proceeding gets
All
rolled
right.
together, and all the comments are rolled together. But I've suggested a public hearing date of
November 17th?
November 17th. We could also do this in the first meeting in December.
Any problem with the 17th?
The 17th works for me.
17th? I'm good with the
Yeah.
17th.
The only thing I would note is that under my updates tonight, I'll elaborate further on the potential, if the board is interested in having a joint meeting with the Affordable Housing Committee to focus on affordable housing issues that evening. I see no reason why we couldn't do both, but in the interest of staying focused on the 17th, it could be the 1st in December, but that is at your discretion, and we can easily manage both items on one evening, but it's up to you.
I couldn't hear all of what you just said. So we're done with these, right? So you're talking about the other part of this?
Oh, we have to make a
No,
motion.
we're trying to decide the 17th.
I was talking about 2 different things at once.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Under my updates, you'll see on the agenda, a suggestion to hold a joint meeting with the Affordable Housing Committee to focus on issues around the housing production plan, focus on issues around Mashbee Commons, to focus on issues around affordable housing in the town, alongside the Affordable Housing Committee. That'd be a good opportunity to focus on those issues. And, assess where we are in terms of, affordable housing townwide, where we are in terms of the housing production plan, and where we ought to go townwide, but also with a critical focus, I think, on what's been presented to the board in terms of Mashpee Commons expansion and the inadequacies potentially of what has been proposed within that context. So I think, could be a potentially important salient meeting to have, to really boil down and understand, what are the sticking points, particularly as they are with regard to affordable housing, because I think that's an issue that we can continue to focus on and work on together. So what I'm saying is, if you set these public hearings, we can have them on the 17th, but we won't miss any statutory deadlines if we push this to December, if you want to keep focused on that topic, should you want to have that meeting with the Affordable Housing Committee on the 17th. Do you understand?
I understand what you're saying now.
So, yeah,
I'd rather do the statutory thing as a priority, having that on November 17th.
I
Yeah.
think we can do both.
I almost think we can, I can't
I'm
see this
not-
taking long, right?
Yeah, do them both.
I have no idea. I mean, it depends if their plans are right.
Oh, that's true, too.
And they don't have any mistakes on them, and. they-
just by way of background for the request, it is to modify the definitive subdivision plan. Already approved subdivision created 5 building lots. One lot that was shown on the plan was restricted as box turtle habitat. That restriction was removed by the state and is no longer mapped as box turtle habitat. So they want to now roll that lot into the subdivision. That's the scope of the request. So the road's been laid out, the drainage has been reviewed and approved by the board. We're really just contemplating whether or not you want to allow the additional building lot.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we set a public hearing at 7:10 to consider an application from Southworth Mashbee Properties to modify the Willow Bend Country Club special permit.
Do we have a
Is that
second?
all? And that's pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 48.
Okay, that's it.
Second.
7:10.
All in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion that we schedule a public hearing for 7:15, and these are both on November 17th, 2021. To consider modifying a definitive subdivision of land located at 178-184 Quiniquisette Ave, Mashbee.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. And we can do them all at the same meeting. I don't think that's going to complicate.
You want to try to invite the Affordable Housing Committee?
Yeah, I think it's a
Chuck?
great idea.
That's on the agenda.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
I'll get to it.
Beautiful.
Okay.
All right, so
Okay.
there's that one.
Under my report, I just have a couple of things I want to talk about. It's been 7 months since the Mashpee Select Board unanimously voted to join the Cape Cod Commission and Mashpee Commons in creating the region's first of its kind three-party development agreement. The goal was for the town, the Regional Planning Authority, and the Commons to work collaboratively to create a 25-year development plan for the 130 acres adjacent to the current Mashpee Commons site. Seeing as this was the first three-party agreement, we knew the process was going to be clunky, and we'd learn and adjust along the way. But we've made little progress since the initial presentations in early June. In the absence of progress, there's been lots of commentary, some of it constructive, much of it unproductive, misleading, and divisive. That brings us to today. I'm frustrated, as I'm sure many of you are, with virtually no forward momentum. I think it's time to regroup. We've engaged a consultant to help us update our local comprehensive plan. We've had that in the works, which hasn't been updated since 1998. And I suggest we prioritize this work. Our town planner's build-out analysis confirmed that Mashpee's current zoning is not capable of supporting the variety of residential development necessary to start addressing the housing crisis, and is not capable of providing commercial development that will preserve and augment the town's character and charm. We also have a pretty good view of what the future of Mashpee Commons could look like. Armed with this information, let's begin our visioning work and hear from our neighbors, all of them, about what they want and need. The updated local comprehensive plan will serve as the town's long-term strategic framework for development. It will likely include a recommended change or changes to the current inadequate and archaic zoning, and in turn, will help inform not only the Mashpee Commons expansion plans, but other future development in Mashpee. To be clear, I'm not suggesting that the work stops. Rather, I'm recommending we prioritize updating our LCP ahead of formally negotiating any long-term development agreement. And I open that up for conversation.
Well, it's something that I know that when I got on the board, it was one of the things I wanted to focus on. I think we talked about that when I first arrived, is the LCP. I think it's something we should work on. It needs to be updated, and I'm all for working on the LCP.
I don't think anybody said anything different.
Dennis?
No, I'm fine with you with that.
Yeah, I got no reason to think about the common stuff because I have no information, so let's work on the LCP.
Yeah, let's prioritize that
Do you
work.
have any information from the Commons? Have you met with them? Have you been talking to them, John?
I have
Out
not.
of the meeting? Okay. I was just, because, my question as you started reading was, is their application for the development agreement complete to the
I have,
Cape Cod Commission?
I have no idea. And that's part of I think it's part of all of our frustration, is we started this process 7 months ago, and we got,
John, 2017 and 2018, they took a walk.
I understand.
I waited 2 years for them to come back. So
I understand.
have
So-
patience.
so-
Mike, don't
But
get
in the-
frustrated.
in the
Have
a- In the
patience.
absence of substantive progress, let's start working on the LCP. Let's prioritize that work.
And don't do the job for an applicant. It's their job
So-
to complete their application. and
Everybody
keep
okay with that?
themselves- John, don't do the job for the applicant. If they want to go slow, let them go slow. If they want to go fast, let them go fast.
I'm not suggesting I
Good,
will.
all right.
What I'm suggesting is let's prioritize the LCP work.
I don't think anybody suggests anything else.
Good,
No. Good job.
thank you. Evan, you're up.
I'll roll right into that. We, again,
Oh, wait, I have some questions. Have you been meeting with any chairs of other boards or committees in between our meetings?
No.
No updates? Because I heard that you met with Alan Isbitz from the Housing Committee.
Oh, we met about
Yeah.
affordable housing, yeah.
Anything else? Anybody else?
Nope.
Can you
I've never
also-
met Alan.
Good, no, I go to his meetings, I go to his meetings.
Yeah.
Can I also ask, you did write a letter to the editor and the Board of Selectmen?
I did.
Could you bring those letters to us here before you sign as chair?
Yeah, that
So
was-
we can vote on them?
That, I should have written that as a public citizen, not
Okay.
as a private citizen, not my apologies.
Okay,
I mean, my intention was twofold, which was draw everybody's attention to the town planner's analysis, which was pretty, which was comprehensive and clearly, as I said in my statement, you know, it
no, that's
shows
okay.
the
That's not what I'm
limitations of the
talking
zoning.
about.
Let me finish.
I just don't want letters going out signed by you without us seeing them.
And I
That's it.
understood.
Thank you.
My intention was twofold.
Yep.
Bring
I know what you're
attention,
doing. I read it.
bring attention to the analysis, so everybody's aware that it's out there, and it answers the question that's been out there, which is what would current zoning allow? And it's clear it's inadequate. And my intention was to let the voters, the residents know, we're gonna start to move forward, and by doing that, let's start concentrating on the LCP, because we haven't done anything in 6 months. Okay,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really appreciate you keeping us in the loop. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So just further updates with regard to where we are with the LCP. Again, and I told you at our last meeting, we had executed contracts, which we have. I have on my calendar just kind of a kickoff meeting with our consultants on the 28th. It's my hope we'll map out kind of the beginnings of an engagement schedule and discuss how we'll be rolling out the visioning workshops, how the board will begin to become involved, and what the framework for community outreach will be. So there's a lot more to come. I really just have a date on the calendar, but that's a great first step, and I'm really, really eager for the process. I've been here 4 years, and I'm really happy to see that this is going to get started. It's a long time coming. And John, to your point, you know, in the absence of a comprehensive plan update for a long time, I think we had hoped, I think we had I had a reasonable expectation, particularly with regard to Mashbee Commons, that by now, we would have a reasonable understanding of impacts, of the full scope of what was being proposed, and quite frankly, we don't yet. So there's an opportunity now to say, okay, in the absence of having updated in a long time, let's engage the town to understand what the vision is, and codify that appropriately in any potential future zoning amendment relative to a development agreement or any other zoning throughout the town.
That's right.
So I think it's timely. I think there's just so much good work left to do, not only around Mashbee Commons and housing, but all the other issues that the town is confronted with as well. So I'm eager to lead that process with the board and just continue to learn more about the residents of this place. So more to come, really eager to get started, and thankful for the opportunity.
What's the name of that lady from the?
From Weston and
Weston
Sampson,
Sampson?
her name's Caroline Wells.
So you have a meeting with Caroline?
With Caroline, and I'm assuming others of her team.
Great.
Good.
And I will report back to you at our next meeting, hopefully with a calendar of events, or at least a rough schedule of how you can be involved at the early phases, and more to come for the community as well.
And they would help construct a research,
I can do the
some sort of
research.
research study. Yeah, they would help in building those surveys and all that work.
Yes,
'Cause that's a real
absolutely.
science.
Yeah, we wrote a pretty detailed
Yep.
RFP. The scope of services is absolutely inclusive of intensive community engagement, survey work, workshops, charrettes, you name it.
Beautiful.
We'll work together with our consultant to ensure it's broad, comprehensive, reaches a wide number of stakeholders, and is conducted thoroughly, professionally, and technically sound.
Good, thank you.
So, yeah, I think that's up to the board to define, you know, with the consultant on what types of engagement might be beneficial, who you want to speak with, where you want to speak, and how you want to engage. So that's all to be defined. Okay, if I could proceed?
Yes, thank you.
Just to round out that conversation, and this is kind of the recommendation to have a potential joint meeting with the Affordable Housing Committee, was something I've been thinking about for some time. especially in consideration of one of my recommendations I noted in my build-out memorandum, to seek a recommendation from the Affordable Housing Committee. The chair of the committee, who I did meet with John Falone, has done a lot of the data crunching relative to where we are and what the actual existing need is. Not really in consideration of our 10% mandate of affordable housing, but like what the actual need is. So I thought it would be great to have that conversation within the townwide context of where we are in terms of the goals and policies set forth in the housing production plan, maybe some updates with regard to the work we're doing with 108 Commercial Street, but also in particular, I think of critical focus. One area of Mashpee Commons plans we can focus on is, well, a couple things I've heard is 10% adequate? How can we be confident that the Commons can deliver the types of housing that people need? What else? Why haven't they completed their Chapter 40B? I think these conversations with the Affordable Housing Committee and perhaps recommendations from the committee, that productive dialogue could also provide an opportunity for the Commons to answer those questions as well, in a manner that continues to be collaborative and productive. So I think it would be to the benefit of the board, of the community, to kind of have an open dialogue with the Affordable Housing Committee on all those topics. And kind of keep doing the work with regard to the HPP, because it's also something, as we roll out the comprehensive plan, obviously we have a housing element of the comprehensive plan, but our housing production plan needs updating as well. There are numerous strategies, priorities, goals defined in that housing production plan, there are a variety of strategies. They include, expanding inclusionary zoning requirements, expanding our friendly 40B projects, habitat projects, but it's also inclusive of Mashpee Commons. And I think that broad dialogue, especially as we roll out the comprehensive plan work, will be a timely one and a productive one. So I'd hope the board would consider that for November 17th.
Any issue with that?
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah, I agree.
Can I ask that they put something on the list of topics to talk about?
Certainly.
They had and I attended, I was fortunate to be there. They had a workshop with the Mass Housing Partnership on workforce housing.
Yeah.
So maybe if they could, everybody's like, oh, all these definitions. There's actually a definition now
Yeah.
that I think that our housing committee, our Affordable Housing Committee has embraced. And that might be one that we want to use as, but not seasonal housing for workers. This is year-round
Yeah, workforce
residents
housing.
Yeah.
that are part of our workforce.
Yeah, I can certainly suggest that.
Good.
Oh, it's still me.
Yep.
Lastly, as directed, the board delegated its authority to respond to the open meeting law complaints submitted against the board, which I did, and Pat Costello, our town council, did respond in kind. In addition, I just wanted to note, I did send to you guys an email also with the open meeting law training dates that are upcoming. Town council didn't contemplate in his response requiring you to do that, but it does not hurt to stay up on best practice, especially with regard to the open meeting law, so I'll probably register for one of those dates. I might suggest you do as well. I don't think it takes too much time.
I think he does say that one of the remedies is that we get trained.
Well, he handed out a open meeting law training book that he had produced for the town that I will distribute.
Oh, okay, thank you.
But I think it would be above and beyond his minimum recommendation. But I also want to point out that the complainant responded to town council's response and noted that she felt the corrective action was inadequate and that she would be intending on filing an additional formal complaint. It's my understanding that until that complaint comes in on that, the Attorney General's form, and then it's not official, so I don't know exactly how to deal with her response. I think I would need to.
Town council.
We need to wait until it's an
Town council has it,
official.
right?
Let's, you
Yes,
gotta,
he
wa-
does.
yeah,
So-
I think
Yes,
we
he
have to wait
does.
for the official,
But it's town council that deals with it.
Correct.
Because we delegated everything to town council.
Well, this would be a supplemental complaint, which hasn't been formally submitted to this board yet. That response that was received was to Pat Costello, but not to the Attorney General's office. Do you understand?
so we're waiting for a response from the Attorney General.
No, she has to file the complaint with the Attorney General's office.
Yes.
And once we get it, we forward it to the town council.
Yes.
Okay.
So I,
Basically, right?
Vote. We'd review it and then vote.
Yeah.
yes, so I just wanted to note that I think we can anticipate an additional complaint to be filed, and that her response to Attorney Costello is in your packet, and you have the opportunity to discuss it now, but we might need to deal with it again on another agenda.
I just don't encourage people to discuss it unless they want to make their comments through town council. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I missed the
you know what I
meeting.
mean, Evan? Like, we
Yeah.
delegated this to town council, so
What's in your packet?
Yeah, I have it. I missed the meeting.
I'm not seeking any motions or anything from the board, just to notify you of town council's response and the response received pursuant to town council's submitted letter. That's all.
Thank you.
and you'll keep us up to date if we need to do anything for town council.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
That's it from the planner.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Evan. Committee reports, Cape Cod Commission,
No report.
Community Preservation.
Applications for funding to the Community Preservation Committee are due November 1st, 2021 in the Town Administrator's Office. And again, those funds can be used for affordable housing, open space acquisition, recreational use, and historic preservation. So if you have an idea in town and you need some funding to work on those 4 categories, get in touch with the town manager's office right away.
Just a note to the board, after a conversation with Marriott after our last meeting, my office is intending on submitting for funding for the HPP update.
Good,
Oh, good.
good.
Yeah, and it's true, we might be able to do it out of administrative money, but put the application in anyways, that will at least get the ball rolling.
Cool.
Design review,
I know they met, but I was not at the proceeding, so we'll have to get an update from Joe at the next meeting.
all right. Plan review,
Plan review did not meet.
okay. Environmental Oversight Committee met last week. I unfortunately was not able to attend. Mary, I don't know if you did?
I didn't.
I didn't either. So when we get the meeting minutes, I'll circulate them to everybody. Historic District Commission and Military Civilian Advisory Council.
No meeting.
Do you have any letters from them?
I do.
Will you send them to me?
Well, the letter says we're going to have a meeting at some point.
I need the official long name of that committee, because they,
There's 2 of them. There's
I
the
know,
CAC.
but people think there's only one. So
No, there's the Civilian Advisory Council, and then there's the, oh, God.
Massachusetts Environmental.
Nope, it's got
Okay.
another name.
I need to,
if I'm not trying to think of it, I'm gonna
I
remember
looked
it.
at this and I can't remember.
I,
Yeah.
send me one of your agendas.
Yeah,
And, because there's a little confusion in the
there's
governor's
2 of them.
office.
One is scientific and one is the civilian.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
I'll get it to you.
thank you.
Anything under correspondence, Evan, that you want us to?
All the
Focus
standard
on?
stuff, town notices and discharge reports, all compliant.
There's, I did see something from the town of Falmouth. They have an affordable housing bylaw. Have you seen that?
I have not seen that.
Yeah. Yep, so, did you put the HPP, the Housing Production Plan, on the planning board's website?
It is on the website.
Okay, so we have a housing production plan that's on our website. I'll send you the link to the Falmouth Affordable Housing bylaw that's under discussion right now.
Great, that sounds good.
It's inclusionary zone. It's very different than how other people have written it. That's what I thought was really interesting. It looked really simple
I'd be eager to see it.
compared to other ones that
Yeah.
have been written.
That'd be great, thank you.
Anything else?
Nope. Make a motion to adjourn.
I second that
There's a
motion.
delay there, Dennis. There was a delay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.